Hey, welcome back to Campfire Stories. So, I got another true story for you today, and I'd like to apologize ahead of time. I realize my audio may not be the best right now. I am currently down two pieces of equipment that make my audio what it is, and so unfortunately, this is what I'm working with right now. I will get it rectified as soon as possible. But to help me rectify that, like, subscribe, and share my videos. And check out the backdrops. If you There's a whole playlist of backdrops. It's great for falling asleep to. That's why I put it there. I love falling asleep to those. It's just peaceful. It's all the backdrops I used in the my videos, and there's no music to them. There's no stories. It's just the beautiful backdrops, and it's the ones I use in my videos. So make sure to check those out. They're really cool. There's one that's almost an hour and a half long, and that's just that's a great thing to check out. But this is a story about a little kid that. So this is apparently a true story that happened back in 2015, and this is one I heard about, and this is something I felt that would be really interesting to share. It's kind of a sad story, bad story, but also good story that has a positive outcome and actually was really able to affect some change in a school outside of my state, and that's really good. So there was this family, and this was a really close knit family. So there was the mother of this boy had osteoporosis, so it was very hard for her to move around, and she really struggled with this. So it was really hard for her to get moving in the morning, and it was her responsibility to get her son, her nieces and nephews to school in the morning. Now her son was running late, and even though it was her responsibility, and she was willing to get up and go through the pain to go get her son to school, the family car had another thing in mind. The family car wouldn't start; it was having trouble, so he was running late. And in his school, if you run late for 3 times, if you're tardy for 3 times, they will essentially you get a discipline for it. It's kind of just a standard, hey, it's attention type thing. Um, no, he wasn't really late that late. He was a couple minutes late for school. It wasn't really all that late. So this kid was on his third time being late because the family car wouldn't start. His mom knew he was going to be real upset that he was late, and he knew he was going to be punished because it's the school policies. Now it's no fault of his own. It was no fault of his own. It wasn't right to punish a kid for something that was out of anyone's control. The car was just old and not working so well anymore, and it's on a household with not much income. It's really hard to make ends meet, especially in these modern days. So, it's no fault of their own. And even though this was in 2015, people still struggle. Even in the United States, the struggle is real. So, trust me, I've been there. So, this kid came to school. He was already bawling tears because he knew he was in for discipline for being late for the third time, and he knew he was going to be disciplined, so he was already bawling tears. And that should have been enough right there. Like, he knew he was in trouble, and that should have been enough right there. And they should have called his parents. Frankly, if you ask me, they should have called his parents, because his mom showed up to school, and there was his mom showed up during lunchtime to bring him lunch and to kind of cheer him up, because she knew he was going to be upset for being late for the third time. Now, she was not ready for what she saw. So she saw him sitting alone in the front of the lunchroom. For when you first come in, he was sitting alone with a cardboard divider, and next to him was a paper kind of cylinder that had the letter D on it. It could have meant for detention or Duns, kind of like a Duns cap. But this was 2015. This was way beyond a Duns cap, and a Duns cap was a form of humiliation. And essentially, they were humiliating this child. The school was humiliating this child and forcing him to work through lunch to make up missed work. Now, he was only a couple minutes late, so he didn't really miss any schoolwork. So they just had him reading a book, and they didn't let he missed lunch. He was forced to read a book all through lunch with a form of public embarrassment as his punishment for his family's car not starting. That's not right. It's one thing if it was his own responsibility to get to school, or he was loitering in the halls when he was supposed to be in class, but that's not the case. He was literally getting to school late because that's when he was dropped off. It was no fault of his own. It was no fault of his parents. It was just a car that wasn't working well. And his mother posted a picture. She took a couple pictures with her iPad and posted them online, and this started going viral. Now, this story went viral, and a local news station picked it up, and it was like a radio station or something like that, picked it up, and several sponsors got involved to actually sponsor them a new car. So they one of which was a dealership that got them a new minivan. Now that minivan had a few problems. The other one was a auto body shop that actually got involved to fix up their minivan. So they wouldn't be late to school anymore. And through that whole community, this mother never asked for a single thing. And this radio host just picked up the entire story, but the entire community came together and supported this family. And I was like, wow, that's an inspiring story. How a community came together when someone in their community really needed help the most, and they didn't even have to ask. A community coming together, it's a beautiful thing, and that's something you don't really see in cities much. And this was a city, and that's kind of like, everyone is always out for themselves in the city, and it's like I've seen the rural countryside where every neighbor helps every other neighbor, and where every neighbor helps their neighbor. And I've seen the city where your neighbors are more likely to shun you than actually even say hello to you. So, it's kind of like, wow. So I've seen both sides, and I kind of understand, the difference between the country and the city. And so when I was out in, this family just straight up was the luckiest family on the planet to see a city community come together like that and provide them not only with a whole car, a whole minivan to get them to school on time, but also an auto shop. An auto shop came forward and actually did all the fix-ups and repairs on the old minivan to get it running perfectly. And then on top of that, a tire shop came in play. A tire shop, a mom and pop tire shop. So these are all mom and pop places. This is mom and pop used car dealership. This is mom and pop auto body shop, and there's a mom and pop mom and pop tire store. So they not only got a new car, new tires, but a full engine rehaul, and to make sure they would always get to school on time. And the owner of the garage put in her blog that she was so proud to see a community come together for a positive change. And it got so much public attention that I believe the school did actually take a look at their policies, seeing that maybe these policies aren't the most just thing to do. So, that was really one of those things that was really just, it was kind of an inspiring story that out of a negative came such a huge positive, and so many people from the community came forward and to help this family. People, when they didn't even have to ask. They didn't ask. They didn't say anything. They just said thank you. They just said thank you. This is this is so kind. It's such a kind thing to do, and I truly enjoy seeing communities come together, and you know, it really does kind of just warm your heart to see communities come together, and it's something that you'll experience a lot if you live in the countryside. Your neighbors will always help you, but in the city, not so much. Especially some auto shop that you have no affiliation with. No, you don't know them. You don't know the owner, but the owner stepped forward when they heard your story. A tire shop that the owner doesn't know you, but the owner stepped forward when they heard your story. A radio station that has no affiliation with you, picking up your story and running with it and calling for help and calling for change. And so it got so much public attention that the news actually picked it up too. So a news station picked it up. I'm not sure which one, but I heard a news station picked it up and picked up the whole story from start to finish. And it's really just an inspiring story of community coming together. And I'm really glad that I was actually able to hear that story. And that it apparently is a true story. Like the whole thing apparently was true. And I didn't do any research on this. Like, I didn't do any research on if it was true or not. But it's just a story I heard, and it was told to me as a true story that happened where a community came together when the family needed help. And they didn't even have to ask. They just needed the help. And that's what a community does. That's what a community is supposed to do. And, it doesn't matter where you are. If you're in an apartment or a house. If you're in a house, apartments, you're in a community, and communities really need to stick together. Communities need to come together. Communities need to help each other, because if you don't help each other, like there may be a day where you need someone to be by your side, and if you're just constantly screwing over your neighbors or filing complaints on them and shit like that, it's like, come on, nah. Like, that's a shit thing to do. I did actually have a person when I lived in a suburb house, in a kind of city suburbs. Not so much like if you've ever been to Wisconsin, the suburbs are in the farmland. So it's the suburbs are farmland, and my grandmother's house was only like it was only about 8 acres away from like the back end of a farm field that we used to take snowmobiles on. And in the winter, we used to drive snowmobiles over some boards in the ditch, and we used to drive them into the farmer's field. It was kind of fun. And all that was really separating the cul-de-sac from the field was literally just a couple bushes. That's the rural communities that I'm talking about. But then I've also lived in the suburbs where it was really close net, and my neighbor's bedroom window was like viewing right into my bedroom window, and it was really annoying. But you just gotta stay positive with those neighbors, and be positive with those neighbors, and stay in good spirits with those neighbors, and help neighbors when the time comes to help them. Because everyone needs help. Everyone, and don't ever be ashamed to ask for help. And communities should always help communities. Communities should always come together, and that's something that not enough. There's not enough of that anymore. So just think that in mind. Think positively. Positive things come to positive people. So just keep that in mind. And, like, subscribe. I hope you enjoyed today's story. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it's brought some light to your day, and I hope it puts you in good spirits. So, without further ado, like, subscribe, share Campfire Stories, and, support my channel, and then by simply just subscribing and watching a video. I don't care if you just watch the videos in the bathroom. I don't care if you watch them driving down the highway, just playing the stories down the highway. That's what my sister does. So hell, she listens to my stories going down the highway, and she really finds that when you listen all the way through, you get some real good insight into a lot, and depending on the story, and she's frankly thankful that she does that. And if you watch halfway through, you miss some serious twists sometimes in my scary stories, so keep that in mind. And without further ado, have a nice day, like, subscribe, and share.